Hi, good evening, Andy.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, loud and clear.
Great, that's all I want to know then. Yeah, so how are you? And how's lockdown been treating you?
Um, Lockdown's been rubbish in terms of work and stuff like that, but you have to make the best of it, don't you? All you can do is keep soldiering on and hoping that we'll turn the corner quickly. Um, so that point of view of it's been rubbish. But on the other side of it, I've done a lot of music, a lot of streams, got a whole bunch of new friends and music family people. So that side's been really good. So, you just got to keep your chin up and keep going on.
Yeah, you had the songwriting group, didn't you? Which I was a part of, which was great.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm going to be doing hopefully another one of those in maybe the next kind of month, first month of the new year. So I'm going to run another one of those, and it's supposed to
Okay.
be 2 hours long, but the last one was about 4 or 5 weeks long. So who
Well,
knows?
yeah, yeah, it did. Yeah, it went on for quite a while, but it was brilliant. To get an insight into songwriting. It was very good. And then obviously life takes over, and it just sort of broke up. But it was great. Well, it lasted.
Yeah. Well, as I say, it was never intended to be anything more than sort of 2 hours. So for people to want to keep it going for 4 or 5 weeks was brilliant. Yeah,
And you've been hard at work with your new album. You've been
I have.
recording that. Yeah,
I have. Well, say hard at work for the last 2 years. I think it's
it's
been nearly 2 years in the making. Yeah.
but there's some cracking songs in there.
Hopefully, I mean the difficult thing is you choose what to leave out and what to put in. So hopefully, I've chosen a good mix of some kind of up tempo stuff, some kind of softer stuff, and also some stuff that's quite different for me as well, or although I think people would think is quite different for me. So yeah, hopefully people enjoy it.
It's taken longer than 2 years to write it, I bet.
Well, yeah. So the earliest song on there, I think, is probably US Bound, which has got to be nearly 3 years ago, I think. Um, but most of the rest of that's probably the oldest track. The rest of it is newer. I think even up to I think the latest track is probably the Nashville one, which was what, a year ago, or not even that, because I wrote it probably 10 months ago, I think. So there's
Well,
some
you
new
came
stuff and some older stuff.
you came down to Hospital Radio to play a few of them songs. US Bound, Pearly Gates, which was on there as
That's it.
well.
Yeah.
Hallelujah, the King. Yeah,
Hallelujah, Mr. King. Yeah, yeah. That
yeah,
was so. That's got to be what, 2 years ago?
yeah, at
Is it?
least.
Yeah, yeah. So it's got to be. So there's a good mix of stuff that was from the when I just started to get back into writing, and then some stuff which is a little bit newer. Um, but
I've
hopefully,
got to say
there's
though, Andy.
something for everyone.
Sorry, yeah, for something for everyone. There is. That's what it is. The genre of music that you've selected. It's kind of country, kind of folkish as well, isn't it? Genre. It's quite
That's it.
cool.
Yeah, that's
Cool
it.
genre. Same as me in a way, country folk.
Yeah. Although you've got some good pop vibes in some of the stuff you've done.
No, thanks very much, Andy. That's very kind of you.
It's all right.
Are we still a debate on that line of the smash the fear?
Still doesn't work for me, but you know
It's
what?
still a bit of a debate.
I could probably pick a load of songs where I'd kind of go, I'd change that bit and I'd change that bit. But sometimes you're better off. I think you're better off going for it and getting it out, because the danger is sometimes you tweak and tweak and tweak, and it'll never be perfect in your eyes. It'll just be as good as it can be.
Is
But
that the
I'll
same with the
still
songs?
change it.
Yeah, is that the same with the songs on your album when you listen to them back and think,
Yeah.
"Oh, I could have replaced it." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's still things where I think I probably could have held on to it for a bit longer. I could have tried to tweak lines. There'll always be. I mean, so I always believe there are strongest parts of a song and there are weaker parts of a song. There always will be. So some bits will be absolutely cracking lines, words, things like that. Other bits you won't feel they're quite as strong. So all of my songs, there'll be weaker parts in it as well than others. So I think that's in every song.
personally, for me, US Bound is one of my favourites of yours. I think it's
Okay.
absolutely beautiful.
All right. Yeah, I mean,
The
it's weird
melody,
because a lot of people like it because of the story it tells, and then a lot of people kind of like things like Hallelujah, Mr. King, because again of what it signifies and what it kind of means. Um, and that's the thing. And I suppose to me, people ask me what my favourite is, and I go, well, I really don't know because there are songs I like for different reasons. You know, some remind me of America and overcoming the fear of flying. Some lyrically I really like, and some are very simple with a nice melody. You know,
and
so I think it's
this
hard.
album was all American in mind, wasn't it? All America, pretty much.
Not all of it, pretty much most of it. So there's one track called Indian Days, which was about my trip to India. But so they're all about traveling. They're mostly about my trips to America, but also generally about my love of traveling. Now that I've overcome my fear of flying. So there is Indian Days, which is about India, but I think the rest of them are probably either about America specifically or that style of my love of country music. So yeah.
So, did you write it in America when you was there, or did you write it back home?
No, I wrote it back home. You mean US Bound? I wrote that at
Well,
home.
most of the songs, really.
Um, I think. Do you know what? That's a good question. I don't think. I don't think I've got a song that I've written when I'm traveling. I think all of my songs I get home, then I reflect on my travels, and then I kind of write the song. So I think they're all done at home, and I would say probably about 70% of them are when I'm either sitting up in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, just getting ready to go to sleep, or when I've woken up and I'm just thinking I feel like writing something. So it's obviously the place for me. I love that kind of quiet, peaceful sort of time when my brain starts to play sort of games and things like that, and words come out. But yeah, I don't think I've ever written a song out of the house or away or something like that. Interesting.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, because did you take your guitar to America? You took, you took
I
stuff.
I borrowed one, so I couldn't. I didn't want to take my Martin because the risk of damaging it is way too big. So I borrowed a friend, Joe Bayliss, who's been on some of my streams. He's got a travel guitar which folds up. And this thing is brilliant. You unfold the neck, you bolt it in place, and this thing stays in tune. So I took that to the US, but I was fortunate. I bumped into a guy who then became a great friend of mine, who lent me a guitar to play that was just a plug-in one. So I didn't actually get to play it live at a gig. I've just played it in my hotel room and things like that. But you've got to be really careful when you're taking, especially nice guitars, because the
Oh yeah.
airports and the air stewards and things like that don't tend to treat them too well.
Did you go to any studios out there?
I did, yeah. I went. I wasn't planning to specifically look for a studio, but I thought while I was out there, I would see if I could find somewhere. Even if I always had an idea to. Years ago, they used to have these record shops, and at the end of the back of the record shop, there would be these little booths where you could go in and you could record a track, and they would put it on vinyl for you there and then. And so I thought, do they do something like that where you can go into a studio for an hour or something? So I found this studio that was willing to do, I think it was 3.5 hours, and they would record. You would record one track, and then they would put drum beats to it and all that production and things like that. So I paid to do that, and then I said to the guy, rather than record one track, can I just sit there for 3.5 hours and you record whatever comes out? So it's just me and a guitar and stuff like that. And he said, yeah, that's fine if you want to do that. So that's what I did. And it wasn't until I got to the studio that he said, let me tell you about the heritage of the studio. George Jones and Dolly Parton have both recorded here, and he pulled off a bunch of other names. I was like, that's quite special. That's quite special. So I did record a whole bunch of tracks in Nashville. Some of them have got the bass tracks on the album. Some of them I've held back ready for the next album.
And have you got a personal favourite on the album yourself?
I would say, if I had to pick one, probably the Nashville track, just because not only did it come out nice with the guitar and vocals, but I also put some lead guitar over the top of it and added some bits and things like that. So I was really pleased with the way the tracks blended and the way it came out. And also it is such a special song to me because it's all about Nashville, which is the only place I'd ever truly wanted to travel to consciously. So yeah, I would say that's probably my favourite. But it's a close run between US Bound and that. I suppose you think as well, the Nashville song's only been around for probably about 9 months playing it out and about, whereas the US Bound has been out for like 3 years. So people have heard it a lot. I've played it a lot, you know. So yeah.
So you've got all the mixes, you've got all the tracks together, and now it's out there. You've let your baby go, Andy. It's out there.
It's out there. It's out there on digital streaming platforms. The CDs, the physical CDs, were supposed to be with me this week, and I am fighting hard with the designer and the printer to get them here so that I can get them to people before Christmas. But it's touch and go at the moment. So hopefully before Christmas, people will have the physical CD. If not, it will be just after Christmas.
And it's available on, like you say, on all digital platforms at the moment. Amazon, Spotify, Deezer. Yeah,
it is under the wrong people and under the wrong accounts, but it's there. And I'm told that if you buy it, the proceeds and the streams and that go towards me. But Spotify, in their wisdom, put it under some other bloke called Andy Hughes, who's been dead for about 10 years, I think.
Spotify are great for doing that.
You can't script it, really, can you?
Yeah, they've done that to my tracks as well. It's like, where did that come from? GD? What? Who's this other GD? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get that sorted out.
And this other GD's done a mass collection. It's like, but that's not me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, the guy that they confuse me with is an electronic dance music guy. So there's a little bit of a difference between his stuff and my stuff. But hopefully we'll get it sorted out.
Although your stuff could be turned into a disco track, you never know.
Well, he's had quite a lot of streams on his, so it could do me a favour in a way. But who knows? Who knows? But it's out there. So my bucket list was to just create an album. So I wasn't expecting it to perform in any way. I wanted to, almost as a legacy to my songwriting, was to have something out there. So I can at least tick the box and go, I've done it. Whether I get album 2 or 3 out, I don't know. But
never know. Have you been writing anything in lockdown?
Yeah. So it's weird because I've almost been going through phases. So I'll go through weeks where nothing will come, and I just don't seem to have anything to say. And then all of a sudden I'll write 3 songs in the space of 2 or 3 days. And I'll be really happy with them. So it comes and goes. But yeah, I've probably done in lockdown this year, I've probably written another 8, maybe 10 songs. In fact, maybe more than that. Probably somewhere around the 10, 12 mark, I would have thought.
Oh dear, putting me to shame there, Andy. Putting me to shame.
Well, and it's like the conversation I have with people sometimes. You know, we've talked about this on the songwriter session. If you wait for inspiration to come, no surprises, you might be sitting there wiping the dust off your shoulders, waiting. And I am a strong believer in you can engineer a story, you can engineer a song, you can engineer the words to come out and things like that. And then at some point through that process, inspiration comes, and then you weave that in as well. But I'm very firmly a believer of get it done, and then if you need to go back and tweak it, you can, but try and get it done. I've got lots that aren't finished where I've fought with them to get them done and they're just not happening. But generally, if I can, I'll try and get it so that it's at least 95% done. And then I can play around with words, phrases. I can send it out to other people to listen to, and they will often go, like that bit, don't necessarily like that bit. And then I can play around with it. But yeah,
well, I'm going to buy. I'll be buying your album, Andy. Don't worry about that.
That's great. That's great. I've got 2 more planned. Whether they take another 2 years each, I don't know. I'm a little bit more clued up now as to recording myself and things like that as well. So I was quite happy because I did it all myself. That's the other thing. So all the album tracks, all the mastering and things like that, I did the bass element, and then I got it leveled by a mastering company. So, apart from the final leveling of all the tracks across the album, the rest of it I kind of did myself, which I'm really pleased with.
Have you picked a lead single?
Well, one of the singles I'd already released, which was Hard Days Are Coming, which I think is a great single track. So that's already out there. So my plan is to probably then release maybe 3 other tracks from the album as singles. And then that will hopefully lead nicely up to when I start getting ready to release another album. Because I'm not so much into releasing singles. I'd much prefer to work on an album, get the album out there, and then maybe pick 3 to 4 tracks maybe off of that to potentially release as a single. So that'll be my approach, I think.
Sweet, can't wait to hear it. And you got a big show on Thursday coming up.
Yeah, so every month we run the Songbird Sessions, and it's usually the last Thursday of the month. But obviously, because this is Christmas, we are running it next week. So it's next Thursday.
Next Thursday?
It does, yeah. Oh, sorry, no, this Thursday. What am I on about?
We're
on Monday.
Thursday. I thought it was
Thursday. It is, you're right,
okay.
Yeah. So it's featuring a Glaswegian country folk singer called Michael McMillan, who I've heard a number of times now. He's got a lovely style, very a bit similar to me, I would say. And then we were supposed to have a guy who's very, very folk, a great guitar picker and stuff like that, but he's had a bit of an accident, so he can't, he's had to pull out. So we will have him another time. Colin Pitt, he's fantastic. So a lovely lady called Caroline Bella has stepped in for us. And again, she's probably more folky, but she's got a nice kind of style to her, a little bit more upbeat in that as well. So she's on. So yeah, so that'll be 2 hours of country folk, folk style music with myself and Mr. Sam Schemmel.
Yeah, cool.
And that'll take us into our Christmas, and we'll kind of then. So that's Christmas. We're written off for Christmas now.
And where can we catch that?
Until the new year.
Is that live on Facebook?
It will be live across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And if people want to find it, they just need to, if they look on Facebook at The Songbird Sessions UK, it will come up. But I will be sharing it pretty much everywhere on Thursday anyway. So people should, if they're friends with me, they'll be able to see it. If not, they just need to like the Songbird Sessions UK page or my music page, Andy Hughes Country Music, and somewhere they'll pick it up.
And also, not to forget, you're on the album with Paige Morris, aren't you, and the Checks?
Yeah, so our little Paige has done a fantastic job of producing our best show album. So she came round the other day with my copy at the door, beautifully packed up in kind of tissue paper and a lovely little wax seal. So I unwrapped it and I played it, and she's done a great job. There is a very eclectic range of styles on there, which I think will be great for people to listen to, and the kind of quality of kind of performance is really good on there. Obviously, I'm on there with a track called "Ordinary Days."
Okay, is that on your album?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Good
same
link
track's
there.
on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's some great people that you and I both will have met across open mics and things like that as well. Both local people to here, Burton, and obviously Swad, places like as far as Derby, I think, places like that.
Yeah. That was an album called Our Best Show, and it came out of the Midlands open mic, didn't it?
That's it, yeah. And they've also got a web page for it, which is, I think, Our Best Show. And they've also got a Facebook page. So if you want to buy a copy of the CD, there are lots of places to get it from, and it's digitally streamed as well. But it's just, not only does it celebrate local artistry, but it also raises money for a great charity as well. I can never remember the full name of the charity, but I know it is to do with using music to encourage kind of therapy and development for children.
Yeah, the musical therapy stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool as well.
So again, a great cause.
Well, Andy, thank you very much for your interview.
That's all right, no problem. Great to see you again.
I've got two violinist duo up next who I've never spoke to before.
Okay. That'll be interesting, especially if they're performing.
Yes. All right. Cheers, Andy. I hope to catch you again soon.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Best of luck with your album. And if I don't catch you before, have a good Christmas.
Yeah, you too. Cheerio. Take care.
Cheers, mate.